Okay, so let's go ahead and show you a final application for this series on Bessey shuffle diagrams. Now, the last application I gave you was quite advanced. So I thought we would bring it down a few notches so that we don't lose too many people. So let me just show you a really fun application. And what I thought we would do too is, since we're at the end of this series, we can draw from any of the shuffles, except of course this non-example here, any of the previous shuffles, 1 through 47, to mix the packet and then finish in the way that we would like to, okay? So what we need here is we just need, okay, and there's a lot of ways to kind of set this up. So we need 4 red and 4 black. So let me just kind of put out, we need 4 of each. Okay, that's good. Maybe I'll get a face card. That might be kind of fun to do. Another face card, I suppose. Okay, that's great. So we have 4 red and 4 black. Okay, so let's just gather those up. Now you may have noted a special structure there. If you've been following this series, hopefully you did. But we're going to now do something kind of fun here. Well, we can mix the packet first. Why don't we go ahead and mix it? We can use the ones today to mix it, I guess. So why don't we do a shuffle 45. Good review here. Shuffle 45. So we're doing a repeat LR. Okay, and then you move that over. Shuffle 45. Very good. And then shuffle 45, we're stacking the 4th pile on top of the 2nd and the 3rd on top of the 1st. And now we're going to stack the right pile on top of the left, okay? And then maybe we'll do shuffle 47 next, I guess. This is just a packet reversal. That's the most direct way to reverse an order of a packet. You could also use this first shall be last, last shall be first presentation of a packet reversal. And then why don't we'll do 46 next, okay? That's the remaining one, since we only have 3 new Bessey shuffles today. Okay, and then we'll do a left, right on each of these. Very good. Left, right. And then shuffle 46 is 4 gets stacked on top of 2, 3 on top of 1. But now we're stacking the left on top of the right. Okay. Now I do want to point out that you could perform any of the 47 shuffles that we have taught you in this series to the packet right now. And you could have the spectator choose any of those in any quantity and in any order. Okay. But why don't we take a break here. What we're going to do now, this is kind of like an intermediate little portion of the routine, is, given the mixing that we've done, I don't think anyone really, could know exactly, where cards are right now, especially since you as the spectator kind of chose the order in which we would perform these shuffles, okay? So what I need you to do is I'm going to have you just randomly choose any of the 8 cards and peek at its color, okay? So now, of course, you're not here, so I'll have to kind of play your part, unfortunately. So maybe you choose this one right here, let's say. Okay, so you choose that one. And so what the spectator would do is they'd pull it out, and in fact, they probably could show it to you, or you have to be confident that they're going to be honest in their actions. But anyway, what they're going to do is just pull out any one card like that, and just make note of where it came from, okay? And they look at the color. So whatever the color is, they need to go into the deck and choose a card of the opposite color to this one, okay? So since this is black, they would just go to the deck over here and choose any card that's red whatsoever. It truly is their choice. Now, it probably would be best for them to not show you these cards, even though in the end, the way that we'll finish will be surprising whether you know the identity of this card or not, but it might heighten the surprise if you don't actually know what this is. So they need to put a card of the opposite color in where we pulled one out, and perhaps you don't even know what this is as the performer. That's fine, okay? And now what we're going to do is just close that up, and then we'll just continue mixing using our Bessey shuffles. Okay, so we could do an LR. Let's go back to the very, very beginning with maybe right on left. We could do a mange over under. Do you remember that one? We could do a Australian down under. So down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down. Last one goes on top. What are some others? We have 47 of them. We have the Klondike Shuffle. That's a fun one. In fact, we have a whole bunch of Klondikes. Do you remember that? Where we can do Klondike into 4 piles, which is really cool. And then we can stack from left to right or right to left, or even do a leapfrog. You can do this kind of leapfrog thing. How do you want? You want left on right? Okay, that's just fine. We could do a even up jog. You remember that? Where you push forward the even position cards and strip those out, and then like randomly stack those, maybe right on left. That would be just fine. Maybe you'd like to do a mange under over this time. That's where you begin by putting it under. That would be great. And we can do one of these new ones as well, right? The repeat LR, like that. And then we do again, left, right. Okay, this is one of the newer ones. But maybe we can stack it from left to right, right to left, leapfrog from left to right, or leapfrog from right to left. You want to leapfrog from left to right? Okay, this is where you leap over its neighbor, leap over its neighbor. How do you want those stacked? Right on left? Okay, so you can perform any of those 47 shuffles. You truly can. And then once the spectator's convinced that nobody could possibly know the ordering of the cards, and the reality is these shuffles could actually be done with your back turned. The spectator can perform these shuffles, as long as they know how to handle the cards without dropping them everywhere, right? So it could be that no one knows really anything about the ordering of the cards. That could be a genuinely, absolutely true statement. But nonetheless, I'm going to try to discover the identity of your card in a very surprising way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my intuition. Now we'll pretend that I did not see the card that was pulled out or put in, because I wouldn't have to. That could be hidden from me. Spectator can do that for themselves. So what I'm going to do is try to use my intuition to divide these cards into 2 kind of special piles. There, and then there, maybe there, and then there, okay? And what I'm hoping is these 2 piles are such that your card, the one that you switched out for this one over here, this one that you switched out, it will become just obvious that something's different about that card that you switched in place of this one. Well, let's see if that's true. Oh, that's interesting. All of those are red. That's interesting. Oh, I would say one card sticks out like a sore thumb. Wouldn't you? These are all red. These are all black. Except for this one. These are all black. Is this the card that you sneaked in and put in that packet, and then we mixed it further? And, the spectator, whether they say yes or no, it almost doesn't matter, because you know it is. You know that this got switched out for this one, right? Because you started with 4 red and 4 black. But that by itself is not enough information, right? Just knowing that there were 4 red, 4 black, it doesn't tell you which one they chose. But boy, did this special division of the cards make clear that one stands out from the crowd, is different from the others. And it is indeed in this pile of black cards where there's one exception to that, namely a red 8 of diamonds. Okay, so anyway, there's probably a number of ways of creating a fun story around this technique. So anyway, let's go ahead and just show you how it's done. It's not hard to do. Okay, so and I'm hoping that this one will be easier for people to kind of follow compared to some of the ones that we've done in the past. Okay, so I began, if you noticed, when I was putting out the cards, I had the deck up, and I said, okay, well, we just, we need four red and 4 black, okay? And then I just started putting out cards, and then I just did it in a way where, I'm actually just building a Bessey sequence, right, relative to color. So I have red, black, black, red, black, red, red, black. I suppose you could build this ahead of time and not even really show it to the spectator as to its organization, though even if they saw it, they wouldn't really think anything of that particular arrangement of the cards. It seems to be fairly random, actually. But I decided to do it right in front of you, and hopefully you noticed that, I was building a Bessey sequence relative to card color, red or black, okay? So if you close this up, at this point, since it's a Bessey sequence, any Bessey shuffle, 1 through 47, can be performed on this in any quantity and any order, and it will not undermine that we have a Bessey sequence. Now, it might invert it, right? It might invert it. What does inversion mean again? Well, that means the reds and black cards switch places in some way. So in particular, instead of having a leading red, I would have a leading black if the packet were to be inverted, right? But for what we're going to do, it wouldn't actually matter, okay? So you can mix this before that selection of a card step, okay? So you can mix this and have the spectator feel confident that, boy, these cards are just beyond the knowledge of anybody, right? We can do 4 piles if you like. And then we can do, leapfrog, I guess, if you want. That's one of our shuffles. It's RC shuffle. Okay. And then once you've mixed it, just to kind of allay any suspicions, especially if you just bring out the packet and you don't really show it to them, it'd be good to mix it before you go on to the selection stage. And then you just fan out the cards and give them the instructions. And so you're placing a little bit of trust that they'll be honest, but have them randomly pull out a card. Maybe they pull out this one right here, okay? And then just explain that whatever color that card is, go ahead and go back into the deck over here, go back into the deck, and choose any card of the opposite color to that one, and put it back in the same location from which this one was taken, okay? And so they would look at this and go, okay, that's red. Well, he's asked me to choose any black card whatsoever. Any black card. These are all red. Lovely. Oh, there's a joker. So any black card, there we go, and put it back where it was. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, and now think about it. Even putting it back where it was before shouldn't really cause too much in the way of suspicions, and if it does, all suspicions will be eliminated by the time you now allow a free mixing of this packet using any one of many, many Bessey shuffles, okay? And maybe you can have them ask for the Klondike, or maybe they ask for the Klondike shuffle, or maybe they say, oh, just deal it into 4 piles, like that, and just stack in opposite order to which you dealt if you would like. We could even do you remember that the Bessey 1-1? So this is where you take one from the top, one from the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, and then the last one goes on top. That's the Bessey 1-1. We also have the Bessey 2-2. This is where you go 1, 2 from the top, 1, 2 from the bottom, 1, 2 from the top, 1, 2 from the bottom. That's a Bessey 1-1 or a Bessey 2-2. If you wanted to incorporate this packet reversal, you could use this idea of the first shall be last, the last shall be first. And this is actually quite powerful because you're giving them choices along the way. So you just tell them, I'm going to begin dealing the cards into piles, and as soon as you tell me to stop, I'll move on to the next pile, okay? So you begin dealing, they say stop, okay, I'll stop there. Stop, okay, I'll stop there. Stop, okay, I'll stop there, okay? And this shuffle is called the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So we just stack in opposite order, which helps to randomize the cards. Now, of course, that's a little fib, but they're very likely going to believe that. There's no reason for them not to. We could also do a ferrule in or a ferrule out. Do you remember those? This is where you just fan the cards, and then you take the bottom half, and then you just interlace them perfectly, okay? Like that. So you can do a few of those if you like, and interlace them differently if that's called for. And maybe we'll do a mange under over. So you push off the top card, you go under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay? And why don't we finish with one of these repeat LRs, one more of those. In fact, we can do one of the ones we talked about today. So this is where you do, you deal it out into left pile and right pile, and then do the same thing for each half. And then if we perform, let's say, shuffle 46, we're going to stack, it's a kind of a leapfrog, we're going to stack 4 on 2, 3 on 1, and then we're going to stack left on right. Okay? So the point is you can perform shuffles for a very long time where the spectator is freely deciding which ones and how many and what order. Okay? Now, if you haven't made a mistake in performing these shuffles, this will be a Bessey sequence. Okay? Now, it's going to be kind of an interesting one because one card switched out for a card of the opposite color. Okay? So what that will mean then is that card that was switched out, its color will be the opposite to the other ones that are in the special positions 1, 4, 6, 7 and the special positions 2, 3, 5, 8. So either they will have inserted a black among the 3 reds or a red among 3 blacks. That's guaranteed to have happened. And so if we just separate this in the way that we've been separating Bessey sequences into 2 piles where the cards in one pile come from positions 1, 4, 6, 7, and the cards in the other pile come from positions 2, 3, 5, 8, it's going to work for us that one pile of 4 cards will all be the same color, and then the other pile of 4 cards, 3 of them will be the same color, and 1 will be the opposite color, and that will be the standout. That will be the one that stands out from the crowd. It should be obvious that, oh wait, that one's a little different. That's the one you actually inserted. Isn't it amazing that the cards told us that the cards made clear that there's something different about the one that you happen to have replaced with the one that you randomly removed. Okay? And so so to separate a Bessey sequence, there's a number of ways of doing it. You could use Warner Miller's triangle deal. You remember that? You clockwise and then stack in counterclockwise order. The way I did it was I just pictured in my mind our quintessential Bessey sequence. This is the one I was picturing: 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay? So if you think about the ones, I'm going to put the ones down on the left as I kind of separate these, and I'm pretending to use my intuition. I'm getting some kind of promptings from the universe as to how to separate these to make clear what card the spectator actually traded with one of the cards in the packet of 8 cards. Okay, so in my mind's eye, I may be focused on the ones being in the left pile and the zeros being on the right. So I'm just seeing this in my mind: 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. So I just go 1, 0, 0, 1. So that's the first half. Now remember, zero's over here. 0, 1, 1, 0. And if you rewind the video, you can see that I kind of pretend to struggle as to, okay, should this one go on the left or the right? And well, that's just all acting, probably bad acting, about, trying to show that, okay, I'm maybe the signal and the message I'm getting from beyond is not 100% clear, but I'm trying to do the right thing. But anyway, if you separate it in this way, it's guaranteed to work for you. You're going to have a packet of 3 cards of one color with 1 of the opposite color, and then you're going to have a packet of 4 cards of the same color, and that's exactly what we have. We have 4 black, and then here, boy, does that king of clubs stand out as different. And and you can make a a joke of it, but what's interesting about this is the cards themselves have brought to light the identity of the card that the spectator switched out for one of the original cards. That's the amazing, almost mystical quality of this particular routine. So you could actually feign ignorance that this is their card and say, wow, that's really interesting. These are all the same. There's kind of a sameness to those, but I think the cards are trying to tell me something. In fact, they're almost yelling at me something about the identity of the card that you traded into the packet with one that you removed. I think it's trying to tell me that this is the card that you actually inserted in place of the one that you took out. Is that true? You know, and they'll smile at some point, and it really doesn't matter if they lie, because guess what? You know that's the case, and so you can press the point and say, I'm sorry, but I think you're fibbing here. I'm getting more and more of a confirmation from these cards that yes, indeed, they are telling me something, and they are telling me that without a shadow of a doubt, this is the card that you substituted for the one that you removed from the original packet of 8 cards. So anyway, that's kind of a fun routine. And I also want to point out that once you understand even a handful of the principles taught on the Hidden Structures channel, just the number of combinations, the number of ways of utilizing these ideas is astronomical. And if you give it just a little bit of thought and let your mind kind of wander and just let your creativity kind of kick in, you can think of like this routine right here. I thought about it minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes before filming. I didn't have a application in mind, and then I thought, oh, I probably should think about what would be good to present. And it didn't really take very long to think, oh, okay, yeah, this would work. Let's do this switching out. A red for a black and a black for a red, and then it's going to come out in this obvious fashion that, boy, one of these is sticking out like a sore thumb, you know. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is even knowing a handful of the hundreds of principles I've taught on my channel, you can come up with some amazing, engaging, mind-blowing mathematical card effects. And as you learn more and more principles, the number of possible routines that can be constructed is almost countless. So anyway, it's a fun playground where you can not only explore ideas, but develop your creativity for designing original, engaging, and sometimes seemingly impossible routines. So that's my hope for you. You'll make use of the principles that you're learning, because you're far more likely to remember them if you actually put them into practice and incorporate them in original ways that draw on your personality and your style and your background and your unique way of relating to others, and your ability to pique the curiosity of your spectators to the point that they walk away just wondering, how in the world is it possible to do what they have just now witnessed with their own eyes? So thank you for watching, and I encourage you to take a look at other videos on the Hidden Structures channel. There's many series on particular ideas and principles, and there's many standalone effects and principles that are fun to master and incorporate and relate to other principles that you've already learned. And I think all of these principles are mind expanding and challenging, which I think makes them more rewarding, because you come back a better designer of engaging effects and narratives. So thank you again for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It's a way of letting me know that you've enjoyed some of my content and would like me to continue creating more mathematical card presentations and tutorials in the future. So thank you again.